Okay, see you later.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Loud Spot. I'm your host, Sebastian Cosme, right out of Oklahoma City. Today, we got Chad Sutliff, a.k.a. Chaddy. What's up, man?
What's up? How we doing, guys? How we doing?
Good. And what's going on, Sam? I know you're shaking your head because I hit the mute button right at the same time you hit the mute button, and I remuted myself. I'm going to stop doing that from now on. We're still testing out StreamYard, so we're getting all the kinks worked out.
Yeah, you actually just it was like 2-second pause after the song was done. It's like
right.
I can see it on your face. You're like, I done messed up already.
Yeah, I was like, shit. That's all right. All right. So, Chaddy, you came from, if I understand this correctly, you came from a rock and roll kind of background and switched over to hip hop.
Yeah, so I've been in the music industry. I'm 25 now, going to be 20. I've been playing in bands and stuff since I was about 10 years old. So I got a lot of years experience in the music industry. I actually started off playing country music, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my dad actually was a front man around here, and he called the Midnight Riders, and they were more of like a cover band. They had their own original tunes and stuff, but they played a lot of big benefits, a lot of shows around where I'm from, Albany, New York. So I remember when I was younger, I started, filling in and drumming for some of his shows and playing a bunch of old 10 years old. So that's when I first really started music. But I come from a music family between my dad. My sister is a musician and a singer as well. But yeah, so I started with that, and then, before Chaddy, I was in a band that I created. I started, built up from scratch, was called Somewhere to Call Home.
Okay. And
we were like that new metalcore, sworn-in type genre, I guess you could say. But that was my baby band. Yep, I exited out of that because I wanted to try some different things, try doing some stuff myself, and seeking some other adventures. But yep, so I come from an extensive touring background with that. I've filled in for a couple other projects before and playing shows, so I got the music in my blood. So I wanted to try switching over from drumming and trying the frontman role and see what it's all about.
Well, you said your family, got your whole family is involved in music. Hopefully, none of them have that porn stash that's going on. What's going on with the porn stash?
Dude, I don't even know.
It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad, actually. You got that Joe Dirt thing going.
It works out perfect because I can't grow here whatsoever. All I can grow is the goatee and the mustache. And I've been keeping the mustache though because the girlfriend likes it. So it's what she wants is what I got to do.
I can't grow. I literally can't grow any of this either. But I continue to try to grow it, and it just is like a mess on my face. But I love it. And when I shave it, my kids and my wife think I look weird. I've too tried the porn stash. It's not bad, but I look really Mexican when I do, and I'm not.
Yeah, and then you start.
I try to keep a little bit of facial hair because I feel like I look like I'm like 18, like when I got the baby face going.
Yeah. So, Chad, yes, on your music, when you left, what you were playing drums, if I'm not mistaken, for Somewhere to Call Home. When we met, right? So,
yep.
One of the things that I know that you may or may not want to talk about on this is one of the reasons why you had to exit and try something new was because it was your mental state where you were being in this industry, and one of your songs that we'll play on the podcast kind of expresses that a little bit. Like a zero to hero back to zero, it could go all in 1 month, So tell us a little bit about if you want to, about why you probably kind of needed to take a break from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was to be honest, it was a mixture of things. I won't get into too much detail, for respect of my old members and everything. It wasn't like a bad split and stuff like that. It was just that typical, a lot of band disagreements, disagreements about money stuff, where each person what direction each person wanted to go in. And just my direction was not what those guys were seeing. And it was honestly just a lot of headbutting. And like me, I love touring. Like that's what I love to do. So with all the, I know all the stress and stuff comes with the band like that. That's just a given, but it just seemed like it was a little bit too much and too many different scenarios that I won't go into too much detail about. That was just, draining my mental health down. I was going through job problems, being gone on the road so much. It was taking a toll on some of my relationships, and it was just everything circling in at once that made me, like the last tour that we did was with, we were supporting Scarlett O'Hara, and Sleepwaker was our last full U.S. tour that I set up for us. And like that tour went great, but that tour I was sick for the whole month. Like I was miserable with that. I was dealing with a bunch of home problems, band issues, excuse me, and it was just, my head was just going everywhere, and I couldn't focus 100% on what I love and what I wanted to do, So between all that, all the issues that were going with the bands and within the band, your typical band stuff, but there was some more instances, but I won't go into it, because the rest of the guys, they are awesome. Like I grew up playing with half of those guys for literally since I got into the metal industry. Like I've known guitar player, bass player and we've been a band, for years and years. So they're all still my brothers and stuff. We don't really talk too much. We've kind of went our separate paths, but I always have that respect for those guys because, we did a lot. We created a lot, went through a lot of shit, good and bad, so I always have that respect for them. But just after, everything, all the stuff going on with me, I just had to exit out. So that's what I did for a couple months. I took a break. I didn't do anything music related. I did nothing because that tour ended and I got home in December. Yeah. Beginning or second week of December. And
like this last December or a year ago?
The December before, December of 2019 before COVID shut everything down. Like that was the last tour I was able to do. So that's been a while ago. But I took so I took a couple of months off completely. I didn't do anything, nothing music related. To be honest, right now, I haven't even touched my drum set since that tour. And for me, that is insane because I've been playing drums since I was 5 years old. I'm 25 now, and this is the first long stretch I've ever went without touching my drums. Well, I just haven't had that, like...
I think you're growing as a musician and going on a different path, and so it's good to do that. I did want to ask you, though, so now that you're no longer with the band, is it just you? Like, are you writing your own music? Are you purchasing your music? Do you have to deal with any other members when it comes to, like, in agreement with what you want to do? Or is it just your decision is final and that's it?
So that's a good question. So that also kind of ties to why I wanted to split off and try to do my own thing. Because, it was all, you guys know, being in the bands, you're rarely ever going to have 4, 5, 6 people agree 100%. Like,
right. No, they'll agree all the time.
Like with all my touring friends, all the bands and stuff I've been in, like, it's so rare to fully agree on everything. So, like, just one of the biggest things, despite like us disagreeing and stuff, like I wanted to get off and do stuff myself, basically. But I mean, like with the band already, I was already doing everything. Like I built up somewhere to call home myself. Me and the bassist really built it up. We started everything. But as far as naming the band, that was all me, getting everything set up. I did all the booking for the first like 10, 11 tours that we did. And then we had a couple other people try to book, but it just didn't work out. So I took over setting up all the stuff after that again. So like I've always done
The drummer.
all that stuff, but
the drummer is the one, I'm telling you, that always fucking does everything for the whole entire band. I do want to ask you another question. You talked about being on the road, having struggles at home. So, and I know when you're on the road and you got issues at the house, you can't really take care of those issues because you're not there to take care of them, right? Do you think that being a one man band or doing things yourself, if there are issues at home and you take this back on tour, you're going to be able to address those issues because you're only dealing with yourself and no one else's drama?
Yeah, I feel like if it gets back to that situation, if I ever have that, it would be a little bit easier because mostly going back to your other question before, as far as everything, like me and my producer and stuff, we work with everything back and forth. But as far as members and stuff like that, right now it's solely me. And, there isn't shows or anything going on right now. So, but once I do get my shows going, I am going to incorporate, a band and stuff into it. But I'm going to be very, very, I don't want to sound like, I'm being too picky, but like I want to be very picky with who I'm bringing in with my vision. I want to have that person that has the exact vision that I want to go for, because that's why I split off, because I had the idea of what I wanted to try. I wanted to try to do stuff on my own, basically, because like I have to say though, with Summer Call Home, like, everyone had their parts, everyone did their job. I did the booking, I did the setting up, like I was the money, I was the contact guy, basically. Like I had most of the connects, and doing all that stuff. And then we had our bassist, he was the merch guy, did all that stuff. Guitarist did the designing, songs and all that. So like everyone had their roles, But so with this, I wanted to take everything I've learned, because I've honestly really wanted to do the frontman position for a couple of years, but with drumming, fully touring, and Somewhere to Call Home being my first priority, I couldn't really fully focus on this. So that big thing that kind of led me to wanting to leave that was so I could focus on this myself. And I took a couple months off, didn't touch music, anything at all, got my everything figured out, worked on some relationships, got my head back in place, my mental, I took that breather that, a lot of musicians sometimes have to, take before they really drive themselves into the ground, and it was one of those where it was just, I was miserable. Like, I'll be honest, that last tour that I did, being sick, all the drama and everything, I was over it. Like I would play the set, and then you wouldn't see me the rest of the night. I'd be right back in the van, very antisocial, which isn't like me. So I felt like, I was letting people down, and I just had to step away and, start fresh and, clear my head.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about this first song that we're going to play. This was your first single, if I'm correct.
My first single that I put out was actually a song called Are You Okay? Was the first one that I put out. And then the next one I put out was called Better Off. And then I had On My Own was another one. Hurt Like I Do was another one. But as far as music videos, the only ones I did so far were for Found My Way, which I shot in New York City. And then I remember when it was Easy, featuring one of my really good friends named Pierce. He goes by Soft Grunge. Extremely, extremely talented artist. And that I traveled down to Nashville for a weekend, and